Hey, I'm gonna play through a few levels of Ruby Warrior. So the game seems really simple. Never played it before. We just run this Ruby Warrior command and it runs our player code in the context of the game. This is really neat. So, to start out, I'm going to open up the player and implement this first thing, which will every single time my warrior will walk forward, and we can run that. And you walk to the stairs, it looks like, and continue to the next level. Alright. So if we come back over here, load the new instructions. It's too dark to see anything, but you smell sludge nearby. So you can use feel.empty to see if there's anything in front of you and attack to fight it. Alrighty. So if we see an empty space in front of us, we should walk forward. Otherwise, we should attack. So if we go play this next level, walk forward until we see the sludge, and then once we see that, we continue attacking. Alright. So this time we have to start worrying about our health. So use warrior.health to keep an eye on your health and warrior.rest to earn 10% of max health back. Okay. So let's just run this with our current code. I imagine that we die after a few of these. So I have 5 health left. Get to the last one. And it looks like on average they do about 3 damage to us. So if we look at this, if we are, and let's comment this, nothing ahead of us, walk forward. Otherwise, there is something ahead of us. So this time we want to say if warrior.health, let's say if it's less than 5, then we want to rest. And then otherwise we want to attack. So this is very simple. We are going to earn 10% of our maximum health back. That's not very much, but it should be okay because we'll rest until we're up to 5, and then they can probably at most do about 3 damage to us. So we'll be safe. And it looks like we died. And that would be because we did too low. So if we get lower than that, let's try 7. If we get lower than that, there's a chance that they can kill us. Oops. Alright, well, it looks like we can actually do this and rest multiple times until our health is back up to 100%. So actually, let's do this. So if it's less than 5, then we know that we need to rest. So, and I haven't done this in a long time. So let's look up a Ruby while loop. So while warrior.health is less than 20, and we'll just add this at the end. So that will recover. Okay, never mind. Only one action can be performed. So let's do 10. That makes sense. That would be cheating. All right. Let's actually do, if there's nothing ahead of us, we also want to say so actually this is good. So if our health is less than say 5 in battle, we will attack. Actually, let's go back and do this. We will only attack once we are healed. So if there's nothing ahead of us, let's check to see if warrior health less than 20, and if it is, then warrior rest. So we will heal in between battles instead of charging forward and healing too late. Now we're on to something. All right, let's continue on to the next level. You can hear bowstrings being stretched. No new abilities this time, but you must be careful not to rest while taking damage. Save an at health instance variable and compare it to each turn to see if you're taking damage. That's interesting. Now, we're already starting to get kind of complex logic here. So if we say, let's start pulling this stuff out. So if we start doing some of these, we can just simply say, just to clean up this so it reads like English. This is really what we want. So if there's nothing ahead, we can pull that method out. And actually, we should see about, probably should have stayed on that level and refactored there, but whatever. So then the other thing is we can say, are we, let's say hurt, and that will be when your warrior health is less than 20. And this 20 might need to change in the future if the player's health points increase. So if there's nothing ahead and we're hurt, then we want to rest. Otherwise, we want to walk ahead. If there is something ahead of us, we want to attack it. So that makes this a lot cleaner, and we haven't really changed anything. We can get rid of these, or that comment we can at least. There's enough logic here that we don't want to do that. So we can even pull this out a little further and say, if there's nothing ahead, then we need to have a step in there for that logic. So we could call this something like, it's almost like evaluating our next move forward. So here we could just delegate this down to this method to handle some of the extra logic. So if there's nothing ahead, let's do our next move forward. Otherwise, we will attack because there is something ahead of us. So for this, now we need to start dealing with this health issue. And this next move forward is going to deal with resting. And the idea of taking damage. So we need to remember at health equals warrior.health. Or rather, let's not do anything yet. And just play through once to see what's going on. Oh, right. So pulling it out into methods, this warrior needs to be passed in to all those, or we could say at warrior equals warrior, and then we can use at warrior in all of these, which is fine. It's kind of a shortcut. It allows us to make this code look cleaner. So if we do that and then run it, all the warrior references are now instance variables that are shared. This time we go attack thick sludge. Archer is hitting us, but we don't know what to do. We keep dying, and that is that. So we'll say if at health defined, we want to check to see if we are being attacked. So actually we can, because we're pulling all of this off, what we need to do is the same thing, but because we've already split it up, we can handle it inside of the next move forward. So you want to rest only if you're not being attacked. So if I'm not under attack, we want to rest. Otherwise, we want to walk forward. So let's make an under attack method. And here we will say if at health is defined, then we need to compare it with our current health. So at health less than, we're under attack if our previous health was great, or let's say it's easier for us to read logically, if our current health is less than our previous health. And I don't know if it's going to check for at health, so we will do that. So if that variable is defined, let's do that. Otherwise, we're probably not under attack, and we will say that at health equals warrior.health. So that this is the very first time it will be set, and then it will check this from then on. So now we'll try. We walked forward because we weren't under attack. Kill the thick sludge. Thick sludge died, and we have a method defined is not available, so the instance variables will return nil by default if they're not defined or never been assigned before, so we can actually skip this. The defined call. If you were to compare warrior.health less than this would return nil, that would cause a problem, and we still want to check that. So let's try this instead. And helps to save. All right. Yes. At warrior. Try it again. And this time, instead, we knew that we were under attack, so we didn't rest. We walked forward and attacked them. So it looks like we still failed though. So when we killed the archer, we should have known that we only had 2 health left, and then we should have rested. So if we are hurt and we are, let's switch this up so that it's more logical. If we're hurt and we're under attack, then we need to walk forward so that we can attack that next target. Otherwise, we need to rest. So somewhere in here, our logic didn't have a stop after killing the archer, and that should have told us that we needed to actually check this or rest. So our logic here in our under attack method sort of makes sense, but what happens is our warrior health is set once. It actually needs to be set every single time, and that I think can put at the end here, and then hopefully that should happen every single time. So if the health variable exists instead, we want to make the comparison. Otherwise, we'll say that we're not under attack. So if this is our very first time and health doesn't exist yet, then we will assume that. Another thing that we could do instead is say at health nil. This is the nil guard, and if at health is nil, then we can say this is 20. So then that could simplify our method to just the logic here, and we can try that and see if that works. So 11 health left, just about killed the sludge. We know we're under attack. Walk forward. Kill the archer. Heal ourselves this time because now we have updated the health variable every single time at the very end, like we should have been doing. And now we are healed and attack the next thick sludge. And once we're done, we should heal up again. And we do. Move forward and complete. Yes. So actually, first let's take a look at our code and see what we've got. It's starting to get a little bit messy again. This is nice and clean now because the very first time health is set, don't have to worry about it. This really just belongs in this method because if health has never been set before, so it's the first move of this new game, it happens and we don't need to worry about it ever again anywhere else. It's only related to the under attack code, so we don't need to put it out here. There are a few things that, aren't the cleanest, so maybe pulling this into its own method so that we can clean that up a little bit makes sense. So then we can have our assignment. This could be our move, and it just calls another method, and this is our cleanup before the next move code. So let's do that, and let's say just next move. So this determines if we need to move forward or we need to attack the player or the enemy right in front of us. So this is simple enough now that we can get rid of that comment. So if there's nothing ahead, there's obviously going to be something ahead of us right now, so we should attack that. So that is nice and clean. This is a little bit poorly laid out now because if you look, we have under attack and walk, but we also have a walk down here. So what we could do is change this logic up so that it determines the time that we need to rest. So if we're hurt and we are not under attack, that's when we should rest. And all of the other times are going to be a walk. So that cleans that up a little bit. So let's find out the rules for the next round. Level 5. Captives must need rescuing, so use warrior.feel.captive to see if there's a captive, and warrior.rescue to rescue him. Don't attack captives. Okay, so now there is more complexity we're going to add to this logic here. When there's something ahead of us, we don't always want to attack it. So we're not going to move forward, but what we do want to do is take this and move it into its own little method so that we have logic really contained in its own thing. So next move, let's say character ahead. So in this one, poor naming, but in this one we'll call this when there's some sort of character ahead of us. It could be an enemy, it could be a captive. So in this case, if the at warrior that feel captive ahead of us, warrior.rescue. Otherwise, we need to attack them. So simple enough. We should be able to run this. And we release that first captive. We move forward under the archer. Kill the archer. Under attack still. We move forward. Attack the archer. Heal up. Move forward. Attack the sludge. Then we should heal and then rescue that last captive. But if you look back over here, we have done no sections of code that are more than a single if statement. So each one kind of delegates off to the next one. So you break down your problem into a bunch of small chunks, none that are very complicated. So the most complicated thing we have right now is this one, where our next move forward is if we're hurt and we're not being under attack, then we rest. And that's about as complex as we've ever gotten this, because everything else is very straightforward. We're just using these methods here as these down at the bottom we're using as helpers to make our code very clean, so we can jump up here and read the logic and see, oh, our next move, if there's nothing ahead, we need to move forward. And maybe we change this so that makes more sense. Move forward, and then I can't think of any good names for this right at the moment, but some way to deal with the player ahead of you or character or whatever.